Man, let me tell you something. I started out with $10 in my pocket. That's it. No big break, no magic, no secret handshake. Just me, a whole lot of hope, and a little voice in my head saying, you better figure this out. And I'll be honest, back then, I thought if I just worked hard, people would automatically respect me. But life don't work like that. Respect ain't just given because you show up. Respect is earned, and it's earned in ways you probably don't even notice. It's in the way you walk in a room, the way you look people in the eye, the way you talk less and listen more. It's the small moments, the quiet moments, the moments where you don't even realize somebody's watching. See, I learned the hard way that people don't respect you just because of what you have. They respect you because of who you are, when it costs you something to be that person. And that's why today, I'm going to give you 5 powerful secrets from psychology. The kind that don't just make people like you, they make people respect you. And once you have that, doors open. Opportunities find you, and life starts moving in your favor. Respect starts with how you carry yourself, not how loud you demand it. That's one of those lessons life will teach you, whether you want to hear it or not. When I was younger, I thought respect was something you could claim just by telling people you deserved it. I thought if I said it enough, if I pushed enough, people would just give it to me. But it doesn't work like that. See, the louder you demand respect, the more it slips away, because respect isn't about forcing people to acknowledge you. It's about presenting yourself in a way where they can't help but notice you. Think about it. You've probably been in situations where someone walks into a room and they don't say a word, but somehow everybody notices them. Not because they're the loudest, not because they're waving their hands around, but because something about the way they stand, the way they carry themselves, tells you they know who they are. That's the thing. Respect often comes from presence, not volume. When you know who you are, you don't have to prove it to anybody. And when you stop trying to prove yourself, people start paying attention. Carrying yourself with respect starts from the inside out. It's not about fancy clothes, expensive cars, or trying to look like you've got it all together. You could be wearing a T-shirt from 10 years ago and still command respect if your energy says, I know my worth. People can sense it. They can feel when you believe in yourself. And that's where it all starts, belief. Because if you don't believe in you, why would anybody else? It's also about self-control. I've met people who are incredibly talented but lose respect because they can't control their temper, or they let every little thing get under their skin. When you carry yourself with composure, even when life throws a punch, people see strength in that. Not the kind of strength that comes from fighting everyone, but the kind of strength that comes from not needing to. There's a quiet confidence in choosing your battles, in knowing that not every situation deserves your reaction. Posture matters too. And I don't just mean standing up straight. I'm talking about the posture of your spirit. Are you walking through life hunched over by doubt and insecurity? Or do you move like someone who knows they have something valuable to offer the world? That posture speaks before you do. People decide within seconds whether they're going to take you seriously, and a lot of that decision comes from how you enter the space. Shoulders back, chin up, eyes forward. Not because you're trying to intimidate anyone, but because you're showing the world you belong there. Another piece of carrying yourself with respect is how you treat yourself privately. It's easy to act confident in front of people, but what happens when you're alone? The way you talk to yourself in those quiet moments sets the tone for how you'll carry yourself in public. If you're constantly telling yourself you're not enough, that energy will bleed into everything you do. But if you start speaking to yourself with encouragement, with patience, with belief, it changes the way you walk into every situation. And here's something a lot of people overlook. Respect isn't about pretending to be perfect. Nobody respects fake. In fact, the quickest way to lose respect is to try to be someone you're not. Carrying yourself with respect means owning your flaws, your mistakes, your learning process. When you're real about who you are, people trust you more, and respect and trust go hand in hand. Now, I'm not saying you should walk around with an ego. acting like you're better than everybody. That's not carrying yourself with respect, that's arrogance, and arrogance will close more doors than it opens. True self-respect has humility in it. It's being able to stand tall without making someone else feel small. It's being confident enough to lift others up, knowing that their shine doesn't dim yours. Respect also comes from consistency. You can't carry yourself one way today and a completely different way tomorrow and expect people to take you seriously. If you want people to respect you, you've got to show them you're the same person in every situation. When you're winning, when you're losing, when you're in a room full of strangers, and when you're with your closest friends, that steadiness tells people you're grounded, and grounded people naturally draw respect. Carrying yourself with respect even shows in the way you handle success. Some people get a little bit of recognition and suddenly start acting like they're untouchable. But the ones who keep their feet on the ground, who treat people the same no matter what's in their bank account or who's watching, those are the ones who earn lasting respect. Because people remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you said or did. At the end of the day, respect isn't a prize somebody hands you. It's a reflection of how you've been showing up every single day. And it always starts with you. How you speak, how you move, how you think, how you treat others, and most importantly, how you treat yourself. The loudest person in the room might get the attention for a moment, but the person who carries themselves with quiet, steady confidence, that's the one people truly respect. People read your body language before they hear your words. That's a fact most people don't think about, but it's shaping the way the world sees you every single day. You can have the most powerful thing to say, you can be the smartest person in the room, but if your body language tells a different story, people will believe that story first. Before you even open your mouth, they've already started forming an opinion about you. Not from what you've said, but from how you've stood, how you've looked at them, how you've moved. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I walked into rooms feeling small, trying to avoid eye contact, slouching in the corner, because I didn't want to bother anyone. And guess what? People treated me exactly how I presented myself. Like I wasn't important, like I didn't have much to offer. And it wasn't because they were mean, it's because I was telling them, without saying a word, that I wasn't worth listening to. It took me years to understand that my body was broadcasting a message louder than my voice ever could. See, your body language is your introduction before the introduction. It's the first chapter of the book before someone decides whether they're even interested in reading the rest. When you walk into a room with your shoulders pulled back, your chin level, and your eyes meeting people's gaze, you're telling them, I'm confident, I belong here, and I respect myself. That's powerful because people take cues from what you show them. If you act like you don't believe in yourself, you give them permission to believe the same thing. And this isn't about being fake or putting on a show. It's not about puffing your chest out or trying to intimidate people. It's about alignment, making sure your body reflects the respect you want to receive. If your words say, I'm confident, but your eyes are on the floor and your arms are crossed like you're hiding from the world, nobody's going to believe you. You've got to let your body tell the truth about who you are. One of the most overlooked parts of body language is your face. Expressions matter. You don't have to walk around with a big, fake smile plastered on your face, but you do need to be aware of what you're communicating. If you look bored or irritated when someone is talking, they're going to feel disrespected. On the other hand, when you lean in slightly, nod as they speak, and keep your expression open, you make them feel valued, and people always respect those who make them feel heard. Your hands tell a story too. Nervous fidgeting, constantly touching your phone, or hiding your hands in your pockets sends a signal that you're not fully present or confident. But when your hands are relaxed and open, when you gesture naturally while speaking, it makes you look engaged and approachable. These are small things, but small things add up fast. Posture is a big one. Stand too rigid and you come off stiff and unapproachable. Slouch too much and you look uninterested or insecure. The sweet spot is relaxed but upright, grounded but flexible. It's the posture of someone who's comfortable in their own skin and ready to meet the world. That's the kind of presence that earns respect without you having to say a word. Eye contact is another game changer. Too little and you seem unsure or dishonest. Too much and you can cross into uncomfortable territory. The right amount says, I see you, I'm listening, I'm here with you. People respect that because it shows you're not just waiting for your turn to talk. You're actually connected to the moment. And here's something people forget. Body language isn't just about how you act when you're trying to impress someone important. It's about how you act all the time. The way you greet a stranger, the way you stand in line at the store, the way you interact with people who can't do anything for you. That's all sending messages about your character. If you're warm and open in those small, everyday moments, people will remember that energy and it builds a reputation of respect over time. It's also about consistency. You can't turn on good body language only when it benefits you and expect it to be believable. If you want people to respect you, your nonverbal communication has to match your words in every situation. When those two are in sync, you're solid. When they're not, people will sense it instantly, even if they can't explain why they don't trust you. The truth is, most of us don't pay enough attention to what our bodies are saying. We're so focused on crafting the perfect words that we forget the delivery matters just as much. But think about it. Have you ever listened to someone who was technically saying all the right things, but something about their posture or their tone made you doubt them? That's the power of body language. It can strengthen your message or completely undo it. So when you walk into that meeting, that interview, that room full of strangers, understand that you've already started speaking before a single word leaves your mouth. Your body is either working for you or against you. And if you want people to respect you, you've got to make sure every part of you is saying the same thing. I value myself, I value you, and I belong here. That's the language people trust, and that's the language they remember. Listening is more powerful than talking when earning respect. That might sound simple, but it's one of the most overlooked truths in how people connect with each other. Most of us grow up thinking respect comes from having the best answers, the strongest opinions, or the most persuasive arguments. We think we've got to talk more, explain more, prove more. But the truth is, you can talk yourself right out of respect if you don't know when to be quiet and listen. When you really think about it, the people we respect most aren't just the ones who have something to say. They're the ones who make us feel heard. Listening is not just waiting for your turn to speak. It's being fully present in that moment, showing with your eyes, your body, your silence, that you value what the other person is saying. And when people feel valued, they naturally give respect back. I've met folks who could talk circles around anybody, but the moment you try to share something with them, you can tell they're not really hearing you. They're nodding, but they're thinking about what they're going to say next. They're checking their phone, glancing around the room, or just waiting for a pause to jump back in. And you know what? Over time, those people lose respect because they've made it clear they're more interested in being heard than hearing others. On the other hand, I've met people who hardly say much at all. But when they do, it's powerful because you know they've been listening the whole time. They've been taking in every word, noticing not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it. When they respond, it's not to show off or win an argument, it's to connect. And that kind of presence is rare. It's the kind of presence people remember. Listening goes deeper than just understanding someone's words. It's paying attention to their tone, their expressions, the pauses between their sentences. Sometimes what a person isn't saying is just as important as what they are saying. If you can tune into that, if you can really catch the feelings underneath the words, you'll start to connect with people on a whole different level. That connection builds trust, and trust is the foundation of respect. One of the most powerful things about listening is that it makes people feel safe. When someone can talk to you without fear of being judged, interrupted, or dismissed, you become the kind of person they turn to. That's influence. And influence doesn't come from dominating the conversation. It comes from making space for others to open up. It's funny, because in a lot of situations, people assume the leader is the one doing the most talking. But the best leaders I've seen know how to listen more than they speak. They know that you can learn something from anyone. The intern, the janitor, the customer, the stranger sitting next to you on a bus. When you listen like everybody has something worth teaching you, you start seeing the world differently, and people start seeing you differently too. There's also a kind of humility in listening. It says, I don't have all the answers. I'm open to learning. I value your perspective. That humility is magnetic because it's rare. So many people walk around convinced they have to be the smartest in the room to get respect, when in reality, the smartest person in the room is often the one asking the most questions. Listening takes patience. Sometimes people will tell a long story before getting to the point, and your instinct might be to cut them off or rush them along. But when you let them finish, when you give them that space, you're showing that what they have to say matters. You might be surprised at how often the most important part of what they're saying comes right at the end after they've had time to really open up. And here's the thing, people can tell when you're really listening and when you're pretending. You can't fake it. Nodding at the right times or saying, huh, doesn't mean much if your mind is somewhere else. Real listening requires focus. It means putting your phone down, stopping whatever you're doing, and looking them in the eye. It's about giving the other person the gift of your full attention, which is something so rare these days that it almost shocks people when they get it. Over time, being a good listener shapes the way people see you. They'll think of you as someone who's fair, thoughtful, and understanding. They'll come to you for advice, not because you always tell them what they want to hear, but because they know you've taken the time to actually understand them before speaking. That's a huge part of why listening earns respect. It's not about agreeing with everything someone says, but about letting them know you've considered it fully before responding. The irony is, when you listen more, your words actually carry more weight. Because you haven't been talking just to fill space. People know that when you do speak, it's worth listening to. It's the same way a quiet room makes you lean in when someone finally breaks the silence. Your voice becomes more powerful because you've given it space. Listening is one of those skills that doesn't just change how people see you, it changes who you are. It makes you more patient, more empathetic, more aware of the world around you. And those qualities, over time, build a kind of respect that no amount of talking could ever match. Consistency builds trust, and trust builds respect. You can have all the charm in the world, all the right words, all the talent, but if people can't count on you to be the same person day after day, their respect for you will fade faster than you think. Consistency is like the foundation of a house. Without it, everything else you build will eventually crack and crumble. People might still like you for a while, but they won't trust you. And if they don't trust you, they can't truly respect you. I've seen it happen over and over again. Someone comes in with a big burst of energy, they make a great first impression. They seem dependable. But after a while, you start noticing cracks. They're amazing one week, unreliable the next. They follow through sometimes, but not all the time. And every time they let you down, it chips away at the image you had of them. It's not the big mistakes that usually destroy respect. It's the little inconsistencies over time. When you're consistent, people don't have to wonder which version of you they're going to get today. They don't have to guess if you're going to show up, follow through, or stand by your word. They know. And that kind of certainty is rare in a world where so many people say one thing and do another. That's why it stands out so much. Being consistent isn't just about keeping promises to other people. It's about keeping promises to yourself. If you say you're going to wake up early, do it. If you commit to a project, give it your full effort until it's done. That discipline becomes part of who you are. And people notice it even if you think they're not watching. Trust me, they're watching. The way you handle the small commitments tells them how you'll handle the big ones. There's also a quiet confidence that comes from consistency. When you know you can rely on yourself, you carry yourself differently. You don't have to oversell yourself because you have the track record to back it up, and people respect that. They might not say it out loud, but in their minds, they're thinking, I know if they said they'll do it, it'll get done. That kind of respect isn't built overnight. It's earned through countless small actions over time. But here's the hard part. Being consistent means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's easy to keep your word when you're motivated and everything's going well. The real test is when you're tired, when it's inconvenient, when you've got a dozen excuses lined up in your head. Those are the moments that define you in the eyes of others. People remember who was still standing when it would have been easier to sit down. Consistency also means being the same person, no matter who's in the room. Some people act one way with their friends, another way with their boss, and a completely different way with strangers. And while adapting to situations is fine, changing your core character, depending on the audience, sends a message that you're not rooted in who you really are. The people who earn the deepest respect are the ones who don't need to change their values or integrity to fit in anywhere. It also ties directly into trust. If someone can't predict how you'll react, if they can't count on your word being solid, they're going to hold back. They won't share as much with you. They won't give you important responsibilities. And they definitely won't put themselves in a vulnerable position around you. On the other hand, when your behavior matches your words over and over again, trust starts to grow without you even having to talk about it. Another part of consistency that people forget is emotional steadiness. Life will test you. People will push your buttons. There will be days when everything feels like it's falling apart. But if you can remain grounded, if you can respond instead of react, you create a sense of stability that people gravitate toward. It's like being the calm in the middle of the storm. People remember that. They respect it because it's rare. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have off days. What matters is that when you stumble, you get back on track quickly. You don't disappear. You don't let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. You acknowledge it, you make it right, and you keep moving. That resilience is part of what makes people respect you even more, because they see you're not just reliable when it's easy. You're reliable when it's hard. Over time, the people in your life will start to feel like they can lean on you. They'll trust you not because of what you say in the moment, but because of what your history has proven. And once you have that trust, respect follows naturally. In fact, it's almost impossible for someone to truly respect you without trusting you first. And here's the thing, consistency isn't flashy. It doesn't always get instant recognition. People might not cheer for you every time you keep a promise or follow through, but it's like water carving rock. Over time, it shapes how people see you. They might not remember every single action, but they'll remember the feeling of knowing they could rely on you. And that feeling lasts far longer than any words ever could. The way you treat others, when no one is watching, decides the respect you keep. Anybody can put on a good face when the cameras are rolling, when the boss is in the room, when the crowd is watching. It's easy to be polite when you know there's something to gain. But the real test of your character and the real measure of the respect you'll have in the long run comes from how you act in the quiet moments when there's nothing in it for you and no one to applaud. I've met people who could charm the life out of a crowd, who knew exactly what to say in public, but behind closed doors, they treated people badly. They thought no one would notice. But people always notice. Word travels, energy spreads, and sooner or later the truth about how you treat people when you think it doesn't matter finds its way back to the surface. And once that truth comes out, the respect you built on appearances starts to fall apart. On the flip side, I've seen people who didn't care if anyone noticed, who made a habit of treating everyone with kindness and dignity. The janitor, the waiter, the stranger on the street. They weren't doing it for praise, they were doing it because that's just who they were. And you know what? Over time, those are the people whose names carry weight. People speak highly of them not because of a single grand gesture, but because of a pattern of small, quiet moments where they showed respect without needing anything in return. The truth is, the way you treat people when no one's watching says more about you than anything you could ever say about yourself. If you only show respect when it's convenient, then it's not real respect, it's strategy. And people can feel the difference. Real respect is consistent. It's not about title, status, or what someone can do for you. It's about recognizing the value in every human being and acting accordingly, no matter the situation. Sometimes it's the smallest acts that leave the biggest mark. Holding the door for someone without expecting a thank you. Letting the other person go first in line. Remembering the name of someone who isn't in a position to help you, but still matters as a person. These moments don't cost you anything, but they create a ripple effect. People remember how you made them feel, especially in the moments when you didn't have to make them feel anything at all. Respect earned in private is the kind that sticks. Public respect can be loud, but it's fragile. It can disappear the moment someone sees a crack in who you really are. Private respect, the kind built when people witness you doing the right thing without being told, is the kind that lasts because it's rooted in integrity. And integrity isn't something you turn on and off. It's something you carry with you everywhere. I remember hearing a story about a man who worked at a company for years. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but he treated everyone exactly the same, from the CEO to the cleaning crew. Years later, when he needed help, the very people he'd quietly been kind to without expecting anything in return showed up for him in ways he could never have imagined. That's what private respect does. It builds connections you don't even know you're building until the day you need them. This isn't just about kindness, it's also about fairness. It's easy to play favorites when the stakes are high or to give extra effort to the relationships you think will benefit you. But fairness means giving people the same level of respect and attention regardless of what they bring to your table. People watch for that. They notice if you treat someone differently just because of their position or influence. And if they see that you're only respectful to the important people, they won't truly respect you. They'll just play along until they don't need you anymore. One of the most powerful things about treating people well when no one is watching is that it builds a kind of invisible reputation. You might not realize how many people are forming opinions about you based on secondhand stories. That server you were patient with tells their friend about you. That friend mentions it to someone else in passing. Without even knowing it, you're building respect in rooms you've never stepped into. And the opposite is true too. One careless, disrespectful moment can undo years of good, well, if it reveals something ugly about how you really treat people. When you think about it, most of life is made up of moments when no one important is watching. At least no one important to your career or status. But those moments matter just as much, maybe more, because they're the purest reflection of who you are. The way you treat the person who can't give you anything back is the truest indicator of your character. And character is the foundation of respect. The thing is, you don't get to control who sees those moments. Sometimes it's someone you'll never meet again. And sometimes it's someone who ends up holding a decision about your future in their hands. Either way, if you make it a habit to treat people with respect regardless of circumstance, you never have to worry about who's watching. You can stand tall knowing that your respect doesn't have conditions attached to it, and people can feel that authenticity. Over time, this kind of behavior builds a quiet, unshakable reputation. People will trust you more, open up to you more, and go out of their way to help you when you need it. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it in ways most people overlook. That's the kind of respect that doesn't fade with time or change with situations. It's the kind you keep